Hi, this is Mike, and this is my quick and easy tutorial on how to edit your images and get them ready for publication in your research papers. So if you've downloaded Picasa, and you can download that at picasa.com, Picasa.com, you can download the latest version. And once you install it, you just ask Picasa to look through all of your photos and files, and it'll find all of your images. And you'll see when you're in Picasa, you've got your list of folders and files on the left-hand side, and each of the folders opens up as you click on them on the right-hand side. So let's say that I wanted to edit a folder, a file here, and get it ready for publication. Okay, so I've got a bunch of images from the trip that we took to Cadiz, and let's see about editing some of them in Picasa. So I'll take the first image here, and I double click on the image to bring us into edit mode. And let's see. This is a no smoking, prohibited to smoke sign, and one of the things that I might want to do here is to straighten the image. So I'll see here on the left hand side of, once I double click on the image, that left sidebar will change and it'll now be my editing screen. I'll click on straighten, and you'll see a bunch of lines here, boxes, and I can drag the bar here at the bottom and straighten out the image. And I hit apply, and it'll straighten the image. Another thing that I like to do is crop, because you don't need all that space around the image. So the crop tool is right here to the left. I'll click on crop, and I've got a bunch of different options. I can do a manual crop, or if I pull down the menu, I can do a crop for a specific size. Well, go ahead and I'll choose a manual crop here because I don't know what I want. And I like that it's a smoking is prohibited, and that there is also this sort of fire hose sign here. So I'm going to keep the fire hose sign in the picture. But I don't need all that other junk in the picture because it doesn't really add anything to it. So that'll be my crop. Maybe I'll add a little bit more room on the right hand side to give the image a little breathing space, and I'll click apply. Alright, and there's my image, and now I want to go ahead and fix the color, the balance, things like that. There's an I'm feeling lucky button, and I click on I'm feeling lucky, and it'll do its best to render the image with better colors and better contrast and things like that. And I like that. If I want to undo it, I can always click the undo button to see what it looked like before. And I think I like the I'm feeling lucky, so I'll click redo I'm feeling lucky. And you know, I can try the auto contrast. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. I can try the auto color. Again, I don't really like the way the auto color just made it look, so I'll undo the auto color. And one of the most important tools, not for this picture, but in general, is going to be the fill light. And I will slowly move the scroll bar, and you'll see how the fill light starts to bring out some detail, especially in the shadow behind the plaque that says prohibited to smoke. But I think that our fill light doesn't need that much help, so we're just going to do a little bit. There's also this really nice retouch tool. So let's say that I wanted to get rid of a blemish on the image. If I click retouch, that will give me a brush size here, and I can scroll. I can make the brush size bigger or smaller, and that circle that you see getting smaller is the actual size of the brush that will be the retouch. So let's say I wanted to, for some reason, get rid of that the little X on the red sign here. So I'll find that's about exactly the right size for that. And if I click on the place where I want to get rid of, and then I hover over a place that I would like to cover that up with, and click, it will do its best to get rid of it, but it'll sort of do a combination of the way that that looked and what I clicked on. So if I do that a couple of times, and I'm just clicking where I want to get rid of, and then clicking again what area I would like to replace it with. And I'm just clicking and then clicking. It takes some practice, but you'll get the hang of it. So click what you want to get rid of and click again where you want to cover it up from. And I can get rid of anything that I would like on the image. I don't know why you'd get rid of that, but it's just an example. And I can cancel that, or I can apply it. And if I cancel it, it just goes away. All right, and that's basically it for the basic toolbar. I've got lots of other tabs here that will do other things. The most important of which is probably the first one, which is the fine tune of lighting and color fixes. So I can pick, for example, a neutral color. So let's say that back wall was going to be the neutral color. I click the little eyedropper and click on the back wall, and then it chooses that as like a neutral gray. And I'll undo the fill light. I kind of like the wall that color. But this also gives me the option to fine-tune things like fill light. This brings out some of the light. The highlights, this brings out some of those higher tone lights, some of the brighter images, brighter aspects of your image. And the shadows is going to darken the dark shadows. So if your picture is a little washed out, that'll help with that. So that's the fine-tune of lighting tab. The other tab that's really good is the Fun and Useful Image Processing tab. And if I click on that, the most important one here is the Sharpened Edges. And if I click on the Sharpened Edges tool, there's basically just a slider bar. And I can slide it to make it sharper. And you see that's kind of a little too sharp. And I can slide it and that'll make it sort of less sharp, but still sharp. And I'll hit apply, and that'll make your image a little easier to read, or it'll just pop a little bit more. And I've got lots of other fun tools that I can try that you can just play around with. So I can warmify the image if I want, or I can add film grain to it, although with this one I don't think we need to do that. And we can undo the warmify, and that's it. So once you've got the image the way that you like, all you need to do is export it to a web-friendly size. And to do that, you go in Picasa, you go File, Export Picture to Folder, choose a folder that you would like this to end up in, and I'll just choose the desktop, and let's say Cadiz. So choose that. I can get rid of this whole gigantic name, and it's going to go into a folder called Export. And I don't want to use the original size because it's probably a large image, so I'll say resize to. And for the web, you're probably better off choosing somewhere around 1200 or 1600. Let's say 1200 pixels. If the image is smaller than that, it's not going to make it any bigger, but if it's really big, it'll make it really nice and compact for the web. And that's it, and I hit export, and it will export that image, and then it'll be ready to add to your paper. And that'll be the next step. So if I open up Word, and Word is just going to bounce for a little while. And let me get some text for a paper so that I can show you what the paper would look like. I don't want to write a paper, so I'm just going to grab some Latin text off the internet. I do not want to have any updates, thank you. Alright, so let's go ahead and find some Latin text. I always use the Lorem Ipsum website. It's a good place to get sort of filler text when you want to see what the layout of your page looks like. And I'll go ahead and grab 5 paragraphs, that's fine. You don't need to do this, I'm just going to do this quickly. Okay, so I'll go back into Word. So here I am in Word, and I've got my paper. And I'll paste my text. And I've got my text, and now let's say that I want my image to go in my first paragraph. So if I put the cursor somewhere at the beginning of my first paragraph, I can say Insert and Photo or Image, it depends on what version of Word you have, and I can say Picture from File. And I'll go ahead and go to the desktop and go to that Cadiz folder. And let's see which image it is. There it is. And I'll say insert. So it's huge, you see, but now to shrink down the image, all I do is grab a corner and drag it to the size I would like. Now, you have to grab it by the corner, because if you grab it by the sides, it'll squeeze the image and make it all weird. So don't do that. Just grab it by the corner, fit it to the size you would like it to be. And once you have it to the size that you'd like it to be, if you click on the image, you can now edit the way that it's going to look. And in Word, somewhere, you're going to have the option to position the object on the page. So for me, in this version of Word, it's under the Format Picture area, but there's going to be a position feature somewhere in your version of Word. And I can do a position with text wrapping, and I can decide to put it in the top right, for example. And there it is, and it puts it in the top right corner. And I can just shrink it down if I like, and it'll do a nice text wrap. And if I want the text to actually be fully aligned, I can change that as well. So I can select all the text, and instead of having the text be aligned left, I can make it a justified text. And now it'll be justified, and it'll look nice with that image wrapped around it. And that's basically how you go about editing your image and then incorporating it into your Word document.